everybody, welcome to the Clay Barn. We're coming to you from Bangalore, Byron Bay, with one of our series of how to make things from clay. Some little cups with handles and then a saucer underneath. This is a white raku clay body. We're going to be opening this clay and taking out the portions we need for today's project, and then we're going to be sealing the bag back up. You're just going to need to keep it wrapped up whilst you're not using it so as it doesn't dry out. Alright, so one of our students here at the Clay Barn made these gorgeous little cups and saucers. We're going to be just building these forms today, and then we've got information on where you may be able to get your work fired in your area. Okay, so the surface we're going to be working on needs to be like a timber board or a clean bench top, preferably not a plastic trestle table. Clay tends to stick to that. So if you have in your kitchen a timber chopping board or a piece of ply lying around, this is a nice surface for us to work on this morning. So in your clay kit, your tools, you have a cutting wire. This is easy, it makes it easy to cut off sections of the clay. So we're going to cut off just a slice from the top of your clay, and then that slice we're going to cut in half. All right, don't forget to wrap your clay back up in plastic whilst you're not using it, so the other part can go away into the plastic. All right, so a pinch cup, basically we're going to get this block of clay, and I want you to plop it between your palms and just sort of throw it from left to right, moving the clay around. So we're starting to get more of a ball shape rather than a square that's cut off the block. We're going to roll it around between the palms like so. Keep banging it between palms, left to right. We're wanting it to be like a golf ball this size. Now, if you're right-handed, I'm going to get you to hold this ball in your left hand. If you're left-handed, I want you to hold the ball in your right hand. So for the right-handed people, everyone that's left-handed, you do opposite to what I say, okay? So you've got your ball of clay in your left hand. I want you to use your thumb of your right hand, and I want you to push down towards your palm of your left hand inside this ball of clay quite deeply. So we've created an opening. Your thumb is going to go inside this opening, 4 fingers on the outside, and you're going to start compressing your thumb towards your 4 fingers. And I want you to do this slowly and also rotate this ball of clay in your palm as you press. So I'm pinching now, slight rotation. Pinch again, slight rotation. So we're going to continue pressing slowly, rotating this ball of clay and opening up, keeping your thumb down right inside. And you can feel the thickness of the walls, so I want you to try and get them fairly even. We're going to just continue with this until we've opened up this vessel. Clay has a shrinkage rate, so what we make today, once it goes into a firing, it will shrink between 10 and 15%. So just keeping that in mind. Now, once you've got the vessel open, I want you to bang it down onto your timber board. This is going to give you a flat base. Mine still feels a little thick, so I'm going to place it on the board, and I'm just going to compress my thumb down into that base and rotate again. So I'm just trying to get a nice even base. All right, now I'm happy with the thickness of the base. Now the next part I want you to do is get your thumb into where the base meets the wall. Just feel how thick that clay is at the base there. That feels good to me. I've got to put about a centimetre, maybe a little bit less. From here, we're going to start coming up a bit more. So you're going to move your thumb up to the midsection of the cup, and again, rotating and slowly compressing. Now, if your clay starts to crack apart on the top edge, all you need to do is pop it on the table, support the top rim with your thumb and your index finger of your left hand, and drag your index finger across the top rim just to join up any of those splits that may be starting to occur. You don't want those splits because they will become quite sharp. We're going to continue until we have the walls all very even thickness. And currently the cup's still quite short, so I'm going to continue with this until I get it a bit taller. Alright, so we're continuing on with this pinching, trying to get these walls a little bit thinner. Moving up to the top edge, just continuing, rotating. Okay, so this is getting there now. Alright, so this cup that I've made has become a little bit wide. I quite like that shape. Okay, so my vessel has sort of come out a little. That's perfectly fine. Everyone's is going to be slightly different. We find that when we run workshops that we'll all be doing the same thing with the same amount of clay and we get quite different results. So I'm just rubbing my fingers across this top edge here now, just to make sure that there are no little splits. I want to get that top rim quite thin too, because nothing worse than drinking out of a little cup with a really thick rim. I want it to be nice and thin. I'm now using 2 thumbs inside and my fingers are all on the outside, and I'm still rotating, as you can see. I'm just checking that thickness of those walls. It's become quite thin now. It's less than 1/2 centimetre. All right. Now, if your rim is slightly uneven, you could look at it and just compress slightly where it is lower, just to try and even it out a little bit. All right, so we're now going to go ahead and do the same with the second block. So the first step was between your palms, throw it from left to right. I'm sort of pushing my fingers down on those square edges just so it becomes a ball. Okay, so now let's go ahead, thumb of the right hand pushing towards the palm through that ball of clay to create your opening. All right, so we're repeating what we just did with the first cup. We're going to start compressing, thumb towards your fingers whilst rotating to get this open. We're going to keep the thumb right down low in the base so we can open the base up first before we start moving up the walls. Okay, so we're starting to get there now. It's starting to open up, keeping the thumb down in the base, pushing out towards your 4 fingers, keep rotating. Okay. Then we're going to pop it down on that timber board again just so we can get that base flattened out. Next step is putting the thumb back inside and feeling how thick that base is. So I'm going to pop this one, it's quite thick still on my piece, on the table, and compressing the thumb down. I'm rotating this around. Just trying to get that base even. Keep checking. You don't want to go too thin. You don't want to push a hole through the bottom. Just want to give a gentle compression down until your base is a nice even thickness. So now I'm quite happy with how thick that is. We're now going to start moving up the wall again. So the thumb comes up a little bit higher, compressing, rotating, quite meditative. Take it slow. Again, if you start seeing splits across your top edge, just supporting that top edge and running your finger across the top to join them back together. We're just going to continue with this pinching. But depending on how much clay we started with, determines the size of the piece we're making. I started with fairly small blocks of clay this morning. So these cups we're making here are going to be slightly smaller than the sample that I've got. But if you wanted to make it bigger, you just cut off with your cutting wire a slightly bigger portion of your cut. The walls are feeling very even, the top's still quite thick, and I still don't have it the same height. So I'm going to continue on with this process, pinching up the top and getting that clay wall a little bit higher. As I pinch, You can see the clay wall moves up slightly. So this is a perfect project for any age. Even the little ones can do it. We just need to slow the little ones down a bit. I find they like to rush. Okay, so we're now getting up there. It's looking like it's around the same height. I'm just going to work on this top edge just to get that thinner. It's still a little bit thick. Rotate that as I go. We're going to be using some water with a sponge that came in your toolkit once we finish the piece, just to refine with a damp sponge. But we won't be using water to build with. I find it becomes too messy. It just isn't necessary. So we're just going to keep away from water whilst we're doing this hand building until the very end. And just trying to get this top edge all a similar thickness. And I can see it's a little lower in that point, so I'm going to squeeze a bit more on that section. All right. If you find there's like a little fold or a seam, it's quite good to support the inside. You can rub your finger across just to get rid of that little fold. I've now got both thumbs inside, 4 fingers outside, just checking that wall thickness like we did on the first cut. And there we go. We have 2 little cups waiting for some handles. So we'll do the handles next, and then we're going to do the saucer.